We're all aware we need to take steps towards a sustainable energy future. But what does it take for us to spring into action?
Today we meet committed citizens who've invented ingenious ways to lead us towards a cleaner, greener future. They say necessity is the mother of all inventions. And on this episode of Sustainable Energy, we meet committed citizens who see the need to reverse climate change and take action by inventing solutions to clean up our planet.
But first of all, let's start here in Hamburg, one of Europe's greenest cities.
Ahead in the programme, we delve into food waste and find a recipe for clean energy. Then we ride the wave of people power, before we meet committed citizens shining light on affordable clean energy.
Plus, I met with Oliver Gaidar. He's the Executive Director of the European Crowdfunding Network, for his view on what motivates people to put their money where their mouth is.
But first, let's take a look at some facts and figures. 93% of millennials believe social impact is key to their investing decisions, which could suggest a move for that generation to place people and planet over profit. Many renewable energy source projects are small and medium-scale projects. The local proximity and human dimension is often attractive for citizens willing to crowdfund a project. The range of interest rates on crowdfunding platforms for renewables and energy efficiency projects generally varies between 3% and 10% for 3 to 20-year maturities. Technologies, maturities, country-specific subsidies and feed-in tariffs are the main drivers of this variance. Most of us are guilty of biting off more than we can chew. In Israel, there's a company tackling the pressing problem of food waste. Home Biogas converts food waste into a clean cooking gas. The company was formed in 2012 by 3 lifelong friends with a mission to create an efficient and durable biogas generator that was easy to install and accessible to all. You place your leftovers in a tent-like contraption kept in your back garden. Inside the digestion tank, the bacteria break down the organic material and releases a clean biogas, which can be used for home cooking, all without any electricity.
So you put the organic waste inside the inlet. It goes into the digester. Here we have an anaerobic fermentation process. The organic material produces the gas and the liquid fertilizer. So the gas goes up here to the gas chamber, and the liquid fertilizer goes out for us to use in the garden. So we can take the liquid fertilizer and use it for our gardens, for our plants, and then this way we close the cycle. From the organic waste, we get the energy to cook them, and we get the liquid fertilizer to grow them again and again in our house.
It's clear there's an urgent need to address the mountains of food waste we generate. According to the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, we waste £2.9 trillion a year of food globally. Systems such as home biogas could put this waste to positive use. In fact, the companies say that the average customer's food leftovers can provide 2 to 3 hours of energy a day.
For energy, for electricity, for hot water, for anything that we need, all of it can come from the organic material. This way we also can treat the organic waste that today is pouring into our rivers, into our wells, into our seas, contaminating all our environment. This way we can treat 2 big problems in one point. Stopping the contamination, stopping greenhouse gas pollution, stopping water contamination, and also providing a sustainable way for energy.
Recycling food waste to generate renewable energy could also help to tackle the pressing problem of indoor air pollution, especially in developing countries. The inefficient use of solid fuels and kerosene for cooking causes 3.8 million people to die prematurely each year. Clean, affordable gas could turn this around.
Several months ago, I visited customers of ours in Rwanda that used to cook on charcoal. Now don't have to cook on charcoal anymore because they are using the home biogas system. I gotta tell you that I was really, really touched to see that there is no smoke, there is no indoor air pollution happening anymore. The health situation in the home has gotten much better. And it's really exciting to see how home biogas is impacting people around the world.
With the promise of putting food waste to productive use and generating clean renewable energy for home cooking, at the same time as improving the living conditions and health of customers, it certainly seems that home biogas is cooking up a storm.
Oliver Gaidar co-initiated the European Crowdfunding Network, ECN, in 2012. He went on to establish it as an international NGO in 2013 as founding executive director and chairman. Over the past decade, Oliver has worked with venture capital, microfinance, technology and social entrepreneurship in both commercial and non-profit settings in Europe and the USA. Well, Oliver, first of all, thanks for having us here in Hamburg, in Germany. You set up the European Crowdfunding Network. Can you tell me what it was that drove you to put that together?
Yes, of course. So back in 2011, there was a nascent industry shaping, and we saw the potential for citizens to find a way to support or invest into projects that could change their community or even sectors beyond. And so we decided to create a network that represents the interests of the industry towards policymakers and create a positive discourse to shape the framework for this.
So, Oliver, we've heard about this home biogas project, which was very much supported by the community. What are some of the other initiatives in which citizens can really get invested?
So citizens have the opportunity to fund or invest projects through, say, a pre-sales or reward structure where they buy a product or help buying a project, or actually become investors or lenders into companies or small organizations in the renewable energy area, but also in other areas. Crowdfunding platforms facilitate this as a matchmaking process.
Oliver, what are the core values and beliefs of the ECN?
So our core beliefs are a transparent industry, professional conduct and governance, because we deal about a sector, we talk about a sector here that involves citizens that don't always are able to understand and assess the risk of an investment. And we need the industry to be open and communicative on both sides, and also to engage policymakers so that we have an open discourse about risks, challenges and the way forward.
Oliver, I know that the ECN is involved in both policy discussion but also in public opinion forming. What's your role in both of those things?
So our industry is it's a small industry that is just growing and is very busy in developing their market. And so for us it is important that we can learn about their needs and problems and challenge the policymakers to adjust necessarily, certain legal issues. At the same time, we deal with citizens that could be vulnerable, so we need to also engage public opinion to de-risk the idea of crowdfunding, to make them understand where it is dangerous or could be dangerous and where it is beneficial, so that they can make the right decisions.
Thanks, Oliver. More from Oliver coming up later in the show.
After the break, we take a look at rooftops repowering a metropolis. We all know there is strength in numbers. In London, inner city communities are joining together to reap the rewards of clean communal energy. Repowering is a not-for-profit organisation that specialises in community-owned renewable energy power stations on social housing buildings and transport networks in inner-city areas such as Hackney and Brixton in London. The organisation was set up in 2011 by a group of volunteers on a mission to tackle fuel poverty. It has steadily grown. So far, it has installed 234 kilowatt peaks of community-owned renewable energy in London. The companies say they've saved over 100 tonnes of CO2 per annum, the same as 100 return flights from London to Sydney, Australia.
Repowering's vision is like this: solar panels on social housing, where communities come together in one vote, one share cooperatives and share in the energy savings and reductions, and also in the idea that they are making a direct impact on global climate change.
Though the company works in partnership with local councils and the private sector, the power is given to the people in the community. They generate and manage their own energy from solar PV arrays on their rooftops, which is used to power their buildings. Community members are encouraged to invest financially in the renewable energy project.
While there are hundreds of social housing blocks which have solar panels on them, this is one of our co-ops in Hackney. There were 14 buildings and 387 flats. Of that, 90% of the investment comes from within 1 mile, and 30% are actually in these buildings. And it's important to them because 60% of their energy is coming from their rooftops.
Any profit earned from the sale of the electricity to the grid is then used to directly benefit the local community and generate an annual return for investors.
Generating a collective responsibility starts with education. It doesn't matter about ethnicity or financial income. It matters about how do you connect with your fundamental things like energy or water or food. And that's what this is about. It's about learning about the benefits of solar, but through that, finance, IT, technical, legal, media, and marketing elements of coming together as a cooperative and then installing and owning that energy.
A percentage of the profit is invested in energy-efficient education in an attempt to combat energy poverty. Another vital element of the company's work is the paid internships they offer to young people in the communities they work with.
The solar energy panels that we've installed, they've really been a great educational piece, teaching people that they can save money on their energy bills, as well as knowing that they're giving back to the environment whilst they're doing so. They've also been a great opportunity to bring people out of fuel poverty, off of the streets, and learning about renewable energy skills that they typically wouldn't have known about even from school. So yeah, they've been great for really putting people on a good path for a great career.
So it's clear that when committed citizens pull together, they can raise the roof when it comes to generating clean energy, reducing CO2 and tackling fuel poverty. Repowering are not only powering but also empowering the communities they work with, paving the way for other communities and cities to follow in their green footsteps.
So Oliver, we just heard about this repowering project. Can you explain to us what's necessary for a whole community to be involved in an initiative like that?
This is a really good example of a compelling need within a community where everybody can buy in. And so if you want to crowdfund an initiative, you need to address a pain point that is local, that the people involved that are, can benefit from it, and then they will be able to support you.
When we think about energy poverty, what can be done to influence policymakers and public opinion?
So we have work done on this already, and we do it on financial services as well, of course, as a crowdfunding network. You need to identify the issues and bring them up, back them with facts, and enter a discourse within the public and the policymakers to always keep this topic on top of the pile. And then you can slowly change the way that policy is being decided and actually make an impact in the long term or sometimes in the midterm that is beneficial for all.
In your opinion, what are the greatest influences on public opinion when it comes to thinking about sustainable energy?
I believe that we all like a good story and like where the small guy wins over the big guy. And so we need success stories where we have a problem and we can change it, even if it is in small circumstances, in order to show that this is possible. And so it's not about the people necessarily who drive it, it is about the success we create within a community and that we can showcase to all the others.
When we think about sustainable energy products in Europe specifically, what's the role of crowdfunding?
So in Europe, we are currently having a change in energy consumption and energy production. And while large corporates only do large-scale projects, often smaller communities want to address their needs as well. And crowdfunding can involve citizens in making decisions where and when this should happen, and in a way that is acceptable to them. So, for example, we've seen that the French government has created incentives for energy developments to involve community finance through crowdfunding or cooperatives. So it is becoming more and more important in our ecosystem here, and the citizens will have more and more opportunities to actually help decide the future of our energy world.
What's your assessment of the current state of crowdfunding, thinking about sustainable energy projects in Europe?
So crowdfunding wasn't initially set up to finance renewable energy or energy consumption projects. But over the past years, it has become a focus, and we see that in some countries it actually is thriving. Today, it's still a small market, but we have seen large corporations buy into the sector and cooperate with crowdfunding platforms in order to make even better projects happen. So I see that in the next few years, this will be one of the main reasons why people do crowdfunding.
Thanks, Oliver. More from you coming up later on in the show. But first, if you thought you knew everything about the benefits of crowdfunding, here's one common misconception.
You thought you knew? Think again. Myth. Crowdfunding only benefits the project or service itself. Fact. Whilst the money raised obviously helps to fund the development of a product or service, the benefits go far beyond that. Until recently, private equity or venture capital sectors would be the first port of call for sustainable energy entrepreneurs when raising funds. Now, though, research suggests that crowdfunding platforms are more likely to attract finance, which allows inventors to keep control of the purse strings. Crowdfunding sites also give an opportunity for anyone to get new technology off the ground. Teenagers working on inventions from their parents' garage have gone on to become tech giants. Crowdfunding invites citizens to invest in wind farms or solar panels, lower their energy bills and improve the environment. It's clear, therefore, that the benefits of crowdfunding go far beyond the innovation itself and have a ripple effect into the environment, the community and the economy. After the break, we get switched on to manageable payments for power. When it comes to access to energy, many parts of the developing world are still in the dark. But in Madagascar, there are committed citizens shining light on the way forward. Baobab Plus, founded in 2015, is a business with a sharp social conscience on a mission to make energy and digital technology accessible to everyone. The reality is that many people in rural Africa cannot afford either. After 14 years of living and working in Africa, the CEO, Alexandra Coster, committed to finding a way around this. The company offers a flexible pay-as-you-go price plan when selling their solar products.
The main goals for Baobab Plus is to give access and digitalize all the population in rural area, to give to them access to the lighting and different solutions they can use with energy, but also to digitalize them, because we believe that e-education, e-farming, e-healthcare will be the solution for the future in rural areas.
Solar energy is perfectly suited to powering homes in Madagascar, which bask in the beating sun. One of the major obstacles, though, is the high cost of installing high-quality solar panels. Baobab Plus is determined to break down this barrier. The customer makes a modest daily or weekly payment, in the same way they already do when buying candles or batteries.
So the pay-as-you-go technology offers the opportunity to control remotely the solar home system. So the benefit of it is that the clients can pay it on 1 year or 2 years on a daily basis, and it makes it affordable for all in rural areas.
The pay-as-you-go technology allows a remote control access of the product through a SIM card or key code system, so it can be activated or deactivated according to payments. The long-term payment plan is that the customer will own the product outright.
For me, the benefits of using solar energy is having light in my house. I'm happy with having lights. I like using the products.
Baobab Plus have taken their social commitment one step further. Another key part of its work is equipping thousands of households in rural areas of the developing world with digital technology so that they can access information on health, agriculture, finances and education. When it comes to social programs, the company has used crowdfunding. When customers in France buy a solar lamp, this finances one for a child of school age in a developing world in a buy one, give one model. The company itself, though, is funded by the parent company Baobab Group, a leading digital financial inclusion group in Africa, offering simple and easy-to-use financial services to its customers.
The solar energy products provide environmental benefits in Madagascar because people don't need to use candles or petrol lamps, which are hazardous and harmful to health. My vision is that the use of solar energy in Madagascar will grow, because these are many regions that still don't have electricity. Besides, it provides light and is easy to use.
Baobab Plus say that so far it has powered around 150,000 homes with solar energy, saving 125,000 tons of CO2 and benefiting 1 million or so people. Children can study later into the night and all generations feel safer.
So for me, the future of the solar energy in the developing world will be and have to be the main source of energy in those countries. They have an incredible solar exposition, and our generation have to move 100% to sustainable energy if we want to conserve our planets. And those countries have this opportunity to be an example for the developing countries, and they have to do it right now.
So with committed citizens like the team behind Baobab Plus, the hope is that access to affordable clean energy for low-income households will spread far and wide, not only in Madagascar, but further afield in the developing world. After all, it's time to turn out the lights on energy poverty.
Oliver, in reality, how feasible is it for low-income households to be involved in investing in clean energy projects?
So crowdfunding hasn't been designed for low-income households in specific. We've seen some great examples today where low-income households are the beneficiaries and can buy a product in a crowdfunding campaign. But if you think about renewable energy projects at large, you need some form of disposable income to participate. Not a lot, it could be 1,000 euros, it could be less. You want to spread it over a number of investments, but it's not necessary for the poorest of this world.
What are the characteristics of a successful crowd-funded sustainable energy project?
So first of all, the project should be comprehensive and understandable to your potential investors and participants. You should be able to explain it in layman's terms and lay out the risks that they can participate. And it should have an horizon that they can also engage with. Between 5 and 15 years, there's different kind of structures. But if you can bring the community to buy into it, to understand it, then you will be successful. If it is too complex, you probably will not.
Thinking about funding projects, can citizens or communities fund things alone, or will there always have to be a part of government funding there too?
Of course they can, and they have done. Reality is that crowdfunding for now is limited to smaller amounts. I mean, the biggest ones may be multi-million amounts, and many renewable energy projects are way more expensive. So they can be done, and they will be done, and they are being done. But I think the real future lies in co-financing with private industry, government, and citizens in order to really make a dent and create large-scale projects.
As we finish, how do you see the future of crowdfunding in the sustainable energy industry?
So we are just at the beginning of an industry that's now shaping maybe 10 years. We see the first platforms cooperating with large energy companies, with banks. So for the future, I believe we will see platforms scale up and industry scale down, and we will see approaches where large organizations, governments, and citizens together can decide on the projects in their communities and will co-finance them and co-benefit from them as well. So that, I think, will happen in the next 10 years.
Oliver, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure hearing your insight and expertise. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thanks to committed citizens devising inventive solutions and getting them off the ground, clean energy can now thrive almost anywhere. From the rooftops of inner city estates and rural villages to food waste.
Next time, we join forces with the international organisations and foundations working towards the energy transition.
And you can join our discussion. If you have any questions for our next expert, you can tweet them to @CNBC Energy using the hashtags AskSE and Sustainable Energy. So until next time, keep thinking green. Goodbye.
Goodbye.